This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
Resolved. This house believes that there shouldn't be justification on the war of terror. The negators have come here and said that in the Bible there is a verse that says, we live by the sword and die by the sword. So you mean that every time you are offended, you return to violence? You're saying that this is just. We shall justify. You're talking about the terrorists. But you forget the fact that when you attacked these countries, terrorism increased. They retaliated by increasing the terrorism. For example, in Pakistan, terrorism increased. So the negators said, I don't think you have a case. You came here and say that this was a threat to the United States of America. How can you stage the whole motion on the United States of America when our first speaker came here and set the perimeter as war? USA never followed the 7 principles of IHL concerning with war, whereby the proportionality, USA used 192 countries to attack these 3 countries, which were accused of the 9/11 bombings and plane crashes. But these were only 2 individuals who participated in these attacks. The negators said, really?
POI.
Granted.
Honorable Speaker,
Yes.
this house would love to know where you get the information from. Can you give reliable sources where you get the information from?
Honorable Speaker, I was still rebutting your points, which had no sources also. So can you let me proceed? The war of terror, USA breached Article 15 of the Convention Against Torture, whereby suspects, for example, Sheikh Khalid was taken to the United States and tortured by CIA officials, for example, Sufyan, and they were made to say things which weren't right. USA attacked Iraq on speculations, whereby Sheikh Khalid told these CIA people that Iraq possessed nuclear ammunitions. But this later was discovered, but this wasn't true. And this is according to our source, which is United Nations Human Rights Pamphlet on Terrorism and Human Rights. We also see this attack as a mistake of the United States national security. We come to see that there was a breach in the USA national security, whereby the CIA got to know about the 2000 January meeting in Malaysia by the 911 plotters, and even the 2 who hijacked the American Airlines F-77, which crashed later into the Pentagon, had American visas, and these people had American passports. But the CIA recklessly didn't inform the FBI about these individuals, but America decided to blame Afghanistan and Iraq for its own mistakes, instead of first accusing these individuals, for example, Abu Sufyan, who were in charge of that case, for not informing the FBI about it.
POI.
Rejected. I would like to pose a question for the coming negators. Did the war of terror cause more good than harm? Is death of people good? Is disrespect of human rights good? Is breaking the laws good? Yet the USA claims to be promoting laws. Economies were crippled. We are seeing the United States lost 8.1 trillion, according to finance, in this war. And also the Afghanistan economy was damaged, according to Britannica, to the extent that they had no money to pay salaries, they had no money to buy food. I would like to conclude by saying, always aim for diplomacy, whereby with diplomacy, lives are saved and peaceful, conducive means are used. For that matter, therefore, I conclude by saying that I affirm this motion. My name is Chagulanyi Musa Tariq from Kibuli SS.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Businje Justin from Mackay Memorial College. Resolved. Our today's resolution says that this House believes that there is no justification on war on terror. Allow me first quote Baruch Spinoza, a Dutch philosopher, who says, "Peace is not absence of war. It is a virtue, a state of mind, a disposition of benevolence, confidence, justice." End of quotation. Not all countries that are silent are peaceful, and not all countries that are fighting hate wars. There is urgent need to stop terrorism, or else there will be loss of lives and destruction of infrastructures. Take a look at America. When the Al-Qaedas went and attacked and destroyed the Twin Tower, America didn't just sit there. It went and attacked the Al-Qaedas. Till now, we see that there have been no attacks at America by the Al-Qaedas. America has got a relief. There is need to eliminate terrorist leaders who influence others to kill people. We are of a view that when the terrorist leaders are eliminated by war, this will threaten their followers and hence reduce their terrorism rate. For example, when Osama bin Laden, who was executed on 2nd May 2011, was killed, this decreased on the attacks that were staged by the Al-Qaedas. For example, these Al-Qaedas were more influenced with America, but ever since Osama bin Laden was killed, they reduced.
POI.
Allowed.
So are you saying that we are going to obtain peace through wars, through loss of lives?
I didn't mean that, ladies and gentlemen. What I meant that there's urgent need to stop terrorism, whereby if we wait for your peace talks, if we wait for your peaceful resolutions, there will be more loss of lives, because you can't tell what these terrorists are capable of doing. So for us, if we immediately impose some force on them, it will reduce on the loss of lives. There is need to protect human rights. Terrorists on several occasions have abused human rights. Take a good example of that terrible man, Joseph Kony, a leader of the Lord's Resistance Army, who could cut off lips of civilians and take out their eyes of northern Ugandans. So, with that example, should we look when our people's rights are being violated? Ladies and gentlemen, we need to take action to the violation of the human rights by staging war on the terrorists. There is also need to create a favorable atmosphere for investors. This is evidenced in northern Uganda, where many investors were jeopardized in establishing their companies due to the presence of the Lord's Resistance Army. But when we staged war on the terrorists, were threatened and vacated the place. And at least now we have companies which have been established in northern Uganda. For example, the Coal Covenant Company Limited in Gulu, the Stanbic Bank Gulu branch. Members, there was improvement in northern Uganda, but not because of peaceful talks, because we fought those terrorists. There is need to secure peace. Ladies and gentlemen, you sometimes have to lose peace to gain peace. I rest my case.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.